Now, let me give a scenario so it makes more sense. I cannot tell you the many times I used to go through candidates' resumes, and you have in front of you this beautiful template, this beautiful, very well crafted resume. But guess what? It's so complicated. I cannot find what I'm looking for. I don't know where the individual is putting the certifications. I have no idea where the projects are, and I'm not going to spend more than 3 seconds to find it. So if I don't find it, I just skip it because I have 150 or 250 more resumes to go through that day. And that's a shame because probably if I would have spent more time on those resumes, I would have found what I needed. But guess what? That's just how we work. That's how recruiters work, or how Sorcerers actually, which is the recruiters, um, you could say analyst, or the recruiters assistant. They're called sorcerers. They're sourcing for this resumes. And if they don't find it within 2 to 5 seconds, and gotta say, sometimes the 5 second mark is just not there. So what I'm trying to say, what I'm hoping that I'm trying to convey is the importance of creating a very simple yet relevant, straight to the point template, because like that, our recruiter will be able to have everything he or she's looking for right there. Now, this is a template that was shared by Lucy Wong, and she very gracefully shared it in Twitter community as an example of what she considers a good resume. And in my opinion, this is a fantastic resume. It's simple, it's relevant, straight to the point. Now, let's start one segment at a time. The career summary. This is where we want to, in this case, this is not for cybersecurity. So obviously we're going to change it to the career that we are focusing on. In this case, in a career summary, pretty much you're just going to, and I love how she just literally put 2 lines. The more concise we are, the better. So in this case, we're simply going to highlight what makes it special, what is it that you're looking for, and things like that, right? On the education level, obviously, please list all the education, meaning relevant education. If you're looking for a cybersecurity role and you add the education of when you were, I don't know, a tech vet, and you worked on many horses and you worked on pigs, please, it's not relevant, right? Like education that is relevant. So if you went to university, at the university, in the GPA, honestly, that is not that important. Some people do like to put it, but that definitely is not that important. Unless you went to Harvard University and you want to put the GPA, maybe that will say something about you, but it's not needed. Now, if you're not done with school, add the university name and do not add the graduation date. Just leave it blank. If you went to a technical school instead, add the name of the school and do not add the graduation date if needed. What I'm trying to say, you do want to put something on education. Do not leave it blank. I've seen some people leave it in blank, and that's a big no-no. Now, the certifications, please make sure the certifications that you're adding is relevant, relevant to the industry that you're looking to break into, or that you're in. If you have certifications, for example, in my case, I have a bunch of certifications that are social work related, right? Um, child abuse certification, stuff like that. I'm not going to add them if I'm going to look for a cybersecurity analyst position, right? So be relevant. But now, with that being said, if you do have certifications that are not precisely for the tech industry, but are still relevant, add them. Now, what do I mean? And you're going to hear me saying that word so many times, so many times. I'm going to use that word throughout the entire video, relevant, because this is something that we need to have very clear. And I'm going to expand more on this. What exactly do I mean? As we go, we're going to have much more clarity about what do I mean by relevant. Now, in this particular case, we're talking about certifications. If you do have certifications that are not precisely about cybersecurity or the technical field, but it speaks about, for example, leadership qualities in you or managerial qualities in you, you do add them. If you have Excel, if you have project management, if you have certifications related to leadership, add them in there. Okay. Now, this one is huge, guys. I mean, I simply cannot emphasize how important this part is. And if I were me, I mean, if I were you, I would literally put this one even right below, career summary, but it's fine. Right there is completely fine. If this is your first time looking, or if you're breaking into the industry, this is even more and more relevant to you. Now, technical projects, in this case, Lucy is actually showcasing projects that she has worked on previously. If you don't have any experience, obviously you don't have projects that you have worked on at different jobs. Now, this is where you're going to create your own projects. What I did, this again, it took me a while to realize that this was the game changer. What I mean game changer is when I was creating this process, which by the way, at the time I had no idea it was a process in itself. It was just me trying to get a job and being, being observant of what was working and what was not working. So I was very observant, like I said before, about what I was doing and the type of results that I was getting and the results that I was not getting. So I gotta say, when I added technical projects to my resume, especially relevant technical projects that are relevant to the industry based on the industry analysis that I did, which I will touch more on that as we go. Now, in this case, if this is your first time breaking into the industry, what I will highly recommend to for everyone to do is to go and research what is the most needed skill, or what is it that the industry is asking for the particular role that you're looking for. What is the number one skill, and try to find 3 to 4 skills. Now, let me explain and let me be more clear, because I know I'm being pretty vague on these. For example, you're looking for a cybersecurity analyst position to start. I want you to look at least 10 different requisitions. Remember, requisition is nothing but a job post. So you're going to pretty much go on dice.com, for example, dice.com, and you're going to put cybersecurity analyst and the location, or you're going to go to monster.com and you're going to add cybersecurity analyst, the location, and you're going to start reading the output that you're getting. Now, you're going to go and look through multiple jobs that you're finding that are relevant to you, meaning entry level. And again, when it comes to entry level, it's completely okay to apply to a job that says at least 2 years of experience, because in recruiting language, that is entry level. So, and again, I'm sorry, I may seem like I'm going tangent, but everything is related. I will always come back to the initial thought. And in this case, when we're applying to entry-level jobs, it's completely okay to apply to jobs that say minimum 2 years of experience, because that is the way of a recruiter trying to find a unicorn. We always, as recruiter, want to present a candidate that is stellar, right? That is much more than what the hiring manager is actually asking us for. The hiring manager is asking for someone with 2 years, I mean, minimum, if 6 months of experience, or just no experience. Well, we're going to put 2 years of experience. A terrible thing. Many recruiters are no longer doing that, which I completely agree with, but it's a thing. So do not be afraid to apply to a job that says at least 2 years of experience if you have none, because it's just a way of recruiter trying to get someone that at least has some sort of experience, but they are 100% willing to take anyone that matches the majority of the description on that resume if he doesn't have experience, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what the hiring manager required. we will expand. This is a completely different topics, just kind of understanding again the back end of a technical recruiter when it comes to job requisition. So I don't want to take too much time explaining that. Just keep in mind it's okay to apply to jobs to say that. Now, going back to my original thought, once you do that, so when you're analyzing these jobs, look for at least 10 of those in the same industry in different companies, and try to start finding a pattern. I mean, I'm huge on patterns. So what I mean by a pattern is if, for example, the majority of jobs that you're coming across are actually requiring for you to have knowledge of EDR systems, for example, firewalls, some Splunk, they're required. So you're going to start writing those down. Okay. If you're going to start writing those down, and I highly suggest for you to craft your projects based on your findings. So for example, the top 5 skills that you were able to spot that came across the majority of the requisitions you looked at are, for example, how to set up firewall rules, knowledge with EDR, for example, a cybersecurity framework knowledge or experience. I highly, highly recommend for you to spend some time learning. If you've never heard of it, or if you have never really worked on it, if you haven't had any labs on those, I highly suggest for you to embark on a journey and start learning, for example, about cybersecurity frameworks. Okay, what is the NIST framework? What is the ISO 27001 framework? And create a blog, write a blog on it. Now, write a blog from what you understand. How can a company benefit by implementing, for example, the NIST framework? And when should a company, after implementing the NIST framework, when should a company start thinking about moving towards the ISO 27001, for example? Things like that. Now, the technical project is not only the blogs that you're going to write, but it's also creating a video on that blog. Why? Now, this is really all these things. Remember, keep in mind that what I'm saying, it's things that worked for me and worked really well. And not only for me, then I started sharing this information, this process with other people. And to my surprise, all of them, it really worked really, really well for all of them. And I said, wow, this might be something. So keep in mind what I'm saying. It has been proven that it works. So what I mean by a video is you're going to record the exact same way I'm doing it here. In this case, you can see my face, but you don't have to show your face if you don't need to, at least for this particular project. There's going to be a video where we will need to, but record yourself and explain the blog, do not read it, but explain why is the NIST framework important? Why, how can a company benefit from implementing the security controls in said framework? Or if you chose a different project, for example, you're showcasing how to use Splunk, right? And you actually downloaded a free version of Splunk and you're playing around with it, or you created your own home lab and you're trying to see if your instance is actually alerting you correctly, if it's ingesting the different telemetry correctly, like whatever it is that you're doing, write it down, make a blog, then create a video and speak, explain to all of us why is that important? Why did you choose that project? And why is this a particular? Because at the end of the day, this is what you want. You want to be able to showcase what you know and how well you know it. That's it. Now, when it comes to the recruiter, allow me to put my hat back on, the technical recruiter back on. When we go through a candidate's resume and the resume is clear, it's simple, I found exactly what I needed. Wow, there are some links over here. Let me click on this link. There's technical projects that have a link. Perfect. And I'm actually, as a recruiter, being able to see the candidate right away. Sometimes I can see your face in this, for example, for a video like this, but if I cannot see your face, at least I'm being able to assess certain things that are super important for me to make a decision as a recruiter, whether I want to move forward with you or not. One of those is your communication skills. How clear is your communication? At the same time, how much in control you seem to be of the particular topic that you're discussing, how confident you sound, your presentation skills. There are so many things I can assess as a recruiter by a 4 or 5 minute video that a candidate decides to make on a particular project. Now, on top of that, there are all these phases when it comes to the recruiting process. One of the phases is a discovery call, right? It's where after we look at a resume, we want to talk to the candidate to assess exactly that, to assess this person. Because one of the first things that a hiring manager always say to a recruiter, I want the person to have good communication skills. I mean, it's a must in almost every career, virtually every career, especially in cybersecurity. You see, we're constantly explaining what's going on. We need good communication skills. Now, so by creating a video, and for example, let's say you created 3 videos, one on this NIST framework, the other one on Splunk, and the other one, I don't know, you're creating the other one on different firewalls rules, how to set up, or what how to configure an IDS, whatever it is. The more projects that are relevant to the market analysis that you've done through the requisitions that you looked at, what are the patterns that you find, it's important because you're being relevant. You're finding these patterns, meaning what are the things that most companies are looking for. You're creating projects based on that. And on top of that, you're recording yourself explaining these projects. It's a huge help for a recruiter. This is what we call low-hanging fruits. You're giving us everything that we want, everything. Your resume is clear, and I have a video of you. So the discovery call might not happen, which is a great thing. Because at that moment, when the recruiter is looking and there are projects that are being highlighted, right? I'm being able as a recruiter to assess many things. I'm going to skip that call because I have a pretty good understanding of your communication skills, your presentation skills, how much in control you seem to be of the particular projects. Because as a recruiter, we're always going to take the project side of your resume and we're going to talk to you on the phone about it. But you're already doing it on that video. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sending that link to the hiring manager directly. And by doing that, the hiring manager is going to say, you know what, bring it in. Bring this person in. It seems relevant. I like what I'm seeing. Let's see how it goes. So we are skipping steps, which it moves the process faster. It moves the process faster. Or it could also say, you know what, no, I don't think the person understands this. I don't like the presentation skills. So it's just what I'm trying to say. The benefits are much more than the opposite. Now, that's on the technical projects. You see how over here she's actually stating that she's in Australia. This is her LinkedIn, her email, and her phone number. I don't suggest to put phone numbers because it's not necessary, honestly. If you're but again, just leave it if you're okay with that, because some recruiters do call straight. Some other ones just make an appointment with you over email and they ask you, where can I call? If you're okay to leave your phone number, leave it there. Now, over here, right below one of these links, I would add one more link that says video introduction or bio introduction or whatever. Something that allows the recruiter to know that once he or she clicks on that link, is going to have a video of you introducing yourself. This is where you're going to be selling yourself. So the exact same principles that I explained on the technical project videos applies here. This is where you're going to talk about what sets you apart, What is it that you're looking for? What kind of projects have you worked on? What is your knowledge? And be in this one, I highly suggest for you to be on camera. You can be on camera, or you can just put a picture of you and talk over, right? You don't have to be like live, but it's much better if you're live, right? But again, it can be a daunting process just to kind of record yourself talking to yourself, right? But in this case, this is super important because this is where also your personality will be able to be assessed. Remember, culture is a huge thing right now. If you are not a culture fit, chances are it doesn't matter how good you are at what you're doing or how much how technical you are certain things. The chances are if you're not considered a good culture fit, you are not going to get hired because right now the industry, the tech industry has changed a lot pretty fast. And it's because of the new generation that is coming over, right? They are individuals that are focused on having, and it should always be like this, should have always been this way. They're focused on having a positive environment. They are much more willing to leave a job because of how toxic the environment is versus staying because how good the pay is. So if you're not a good culture fit, it's just not going to work for a recruiter or a hiring manager. And you don't want that. So during this video, this is where you want to showcase your beautiful self. This is where you want to smile and sound confident, sound positive, sound that you're a team player, because this is very, very extremely important. You want to be relevant, keep it under 5 minutes. Now, be very genuine. You see, genuine and transparency can go a long way. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten a yes from a hiring manager. I have gotten a job, and one of the feedbacks, some of the feedbacks I receive is, oh, you just showed very genuine, and it seems like you're a good, it will be easy to work with you, you see. And it's because I allow myself to show my personality. I'm not afraid of people seeing who I am because it's who I am. I mean, if my personality is not a good culture fit, it's probably not the right place for me anyway. So I highly suggest that under 5 minutes, you do the best you can to sound, to sound relevant, to sound like you're a good culture fit, someone that is a complete, if you're going to be an asset to that company, and that company is also going to do a lot for you. What are you bringing to the table that you're someone that's teachable, but also someone that's willing to teach others as the time comes and things like that. And again, I cannot emphasize how important this video is because of how much a hiring manager and a recruiter can assess from that video alone. Okay. Now, when it comes to the work experience, I think this is fine. You can add one more bullet point. So I will say 4 bullet points per company. Keep it, there's a word for these, but accomplishment based. What did you accomplish? What are the main things you were working on? And how did you help the company get to the goal that they needed to get to? What did you contribute with? Okay, keep those things in mind. And if you can, try to sound technical. I understand if you're just breaking into the industry, you might not have a technical background, but we all work with computers and softwares. If most of your job was about computers, was you utilizing a specific software, expand on that software. What were the capabilities of that software? What is it that you needed to do within that software? Again, try to make your work, your experience sound as technical as possible and as relevant and accomplishment based as possible. And now we only have one page over here. I don't know why people think that having a one-page resume is the golden rule. I don't know who says that. I got to say to you, it's absolutely not true. at Amazon, we used to have us recruiters, we used to have meetings sometimes, and we used to complain about these and say, who is telling individuals to only keep it to one page? If you have relevant information to add, then add it. If it goes more, if it extends to 2 pages, then it's fine. 2 pages, we recruiters want to see relevant information. And if it takes 2 pages, that's fine. Now, please do not add a third page or fourth page or a fifth page unless you are at a managerial level. If you are, I don't know, a director level, that's okay. But if you are not a director or even a manager, keep it to 2 pages maximum. But at 1 page, you don't need to. If you don't, I mean, if it fits on 1 page, that's perfect. But it's completely okay to go to a second page. Again, as long as you stay relevant. Now, the technical skills, again, if this is your first time, I have one thing that I did. I created my own experience. I went out on the community. I'm a community worker by heart. I've been working on the community for over 15 years. So, and I also have my own nonprofit organization called Grace in Action. So what I did through my nonprofit, and if you don't need to have a nonprofit for this, I'm just saying through my nonprofit, what I did is I reached out to libraries and I started just telling them, hey, I would love to host workshops for the community on how to spot a phishing attack. What are some of the telling signs of a scam, of a phishing scam, vishing, or well, all those terms. Another thing that I did, I went out in the community and I started low-income communities, to be more exact. And I went around and I explained that I have that I went to school for cybersecurity, and I'm looking to help my community with the skills that I have. And I also am looking to just be more hands-on. So I went out and I started asking nonprofit organizations if they were willing to allow me to see, check their computers if the antivirus was installed, if the configurations of the Wi-Fi was the correct one, just whatever it is that I was able to do. I would do it. And all that, I put it as a freelancer. So over here in my work experience, it's freelancing, but in reality, it was community work, right? In the community, I started just being really hands-on. It got to the point that I was working at a school with someone that I was shadowing, and he was showing me everything about access control, and he was showing me how to set up how to wire an office, how to work with these different, oh my God, what is the word for that? Anyway, all these different things that as a network engineer he was doing. And guess what? That was all experience that I could put down. And I'm not lying. I guess this is something you never want to do. You don't want to lie, but there are many ways that you can add your own experience. You just have to think outside the box. Now, expanding a little bit more on this particular subject that I'm touching on. When I've had my first interview, the hiring manager asked me, so can you talk about your freelance experience and what is it like, for what company? I was very honest. I said, well, I knew I needed hands-on experience. I knew I didn't have it. And I knew it was going to be very difficult for me to be in front of a hiring manager in the recruiting process if I didn't have that. So I created it. I went out in my community and I told them, and I said, I'm a community worker. And to me, if in any way I can help low-income communities, I would. So I started just doing all these things, and I gained understanding on different technologies at the school that I was supporting with the network engineer. I was able to assess certain vulnerabilities in different organizations by simply just going in manually, looking at the antivirus. Was the antivirus actually updated? I'm looking at some of the softwares that they have. Are they updated properly? Are they patched properly? And the guy was so impressed. the hiring manager literally said, I haven't come across a single person that have created their own experience and that actually has been as practical as you've been. And he said, I'm very impressed. So I didn't, I, by the time I was presented with, with the offer letter, it was a little too late for that company. So I moved with another company. I actually chose the company that I worked for, and I don't regret it. But what I'm saying is, think outside the box. There are so many ways that we can help ourselves. There are so many things that we can do to really put ourselves out there, to not only be, again, being of service, in my opinion, is the best way for people to notice you. It's the best way, and it shouldn't be your motive. Being of service should be a mindset, but being of service has helped me immensely, incredibly, when it comes to my career in general and all the fields that I've worked on, and it's pretty extensive. I've been on multiple fields. But again, don't be afraid to come up with your own ideas and go out and to low-income communities. They need our help. They need our skills, and you need the experience. So it's a win-win. Now, with that being said, I think we're done with the with the with the resume side. On my next video, I'm going to be talking about how to optimize, how to actually create a proper LinkedIn profile that attracts recruiters, because all of these is going to work holistically for us. Again, it's a multi-phase process, but it pays off. Okay, well, thank you for watching, and see you next time.